Guys, welcome to the podcast. Today I'm here with Noel, who runs Guilford Accounting. He's been doing this for about 20 years now, so he has a wealth of experience, a bunch of different experience in the past as well. Was a partner at Deloitte, so yeah, really an expert in this field. So yeah, glad to have you on the podcast and share your thoughts in terms of what's happening in the industry at the moment.
Yeah, thank you very much. Nice to meet you.
All right, sweet. And I know we spoke a little bit yesterday, and one of the key things we said in terms of what people like the biggest shifts you're seeing is in terms of AI. And you said one of the things you're seeing is people are moving more from being people who create just reports in terms of to more they need to be advisors as well. Can you like expand on that a little bit more?
Yes, I can. What we're seeing at the moment uh, is probably one of the biggest shifts in the accounting industry, certainly in my lifetime. I've been doing this for probably nearly 50 years, and I guess the introduction of personal computers in the 1980s, I remember. Then the shift to cloud accounting was another big shift. The shift to AI, I think, is going to be as big, if not bigger than both of those. What we're seeing is a fundamental shift in the way that accounting, well, bookkeeping and accounting is going to be carried out. Most of the what we tend to think of as compliance, so bookkeeping, preparing tax returns, preparing annual accounts, all of that is going to be automated, and there's going to be much less for the traditional accounting practices to do. So the shift is going to be more towards getting AI, agentic AI, working within accounting practices, doing a lot of the heavy lifting. And that's going to mean that the accountants can really focus on helping their clients to grow. I always think that the biggest advantage that we have as accountants is that we can stand beside our clients and help them achieve their objectives, their dreams, if you like, and understanding what those are and understanding how we can help them is where accountants are going to be in the future. And that means, as you just said, Leonard, that means what we often use the term advisory, and I always stop and ask, what do you mean by advisory? Because for a lot of firms, advisory might be giving a bit of tax advice or maybe a bit of remuneration planning. But I don't think that really is the crux of advisory. That's those services really should be mainstream for any accounting practice. What I mean by advisory is looking at the business as a whole, looking where it can be improved. That's why businesses need to know the numbers. It all starts with the numbers, and that's why accountants really are the people who are best placed to carry out this work, because it's the numbers that tell you where the problems are. But to be able to solve those problems, you've got to have a wider and broader understanding than just the numbers. I had a client recently who there was clearly a cash flow problem. Cash wasn't coming in as quickly as it should be. We looked at that problem, and it wasn't actually a question of the cash not coming in as quickly. It was the fact that cash was too much cash was tied up in the business, and it was a supply chain problem. And so we had to delve into the supply chain and understand where the bottlenecks were and how we could alleviate those bottlenecks. And so the problem wasn't one that was a traditional accountant's problem. We had to look outside of the particular problem that the client came to us with, which was cash flow, and really get behind that. And quite often, I find that the problem that the client comes to you with, they see the symptoms, but they need help determining the cause of that problem. And that's where I think accountants increasingly are going to be needed, because that's the stuff that the AI isn't going to be as good at. And that's the stuff
Yeah.
that needs the experience that accountants and business advisors bring to it.
Right. So moving away from being more just like bookkeepers and more just being like business advisors slash consultants, essentially.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I say, having an understanding of what business advisory or consultancy means, because
Yeah.
again, what we again traditionally accountants tended to pass their exams, and they were good at bookkeeping, preparing accounts, tax. Uh, they got their certificate and they set up their practice, and they were good to go. The problem these days is that you've got to keep developing and keep learning, because what we were taught and what we learned even 5, 10 years ago now is
Mhm.
getting out of date so quickly. And so uh, accountancy in particular, I think, is an industry that needs to be looking outside the industry itself for where best practice is. So look at manufacturing, look at e-commerce, look at other industries and see what's happening there, and how you
Mhm.
can bring that knowledge into your accountancy practice. And that just means I use the term lifelong learning. I think any professional these days almost has to refresh their learning on a very regular
Mhm.
basis. We as accountants have to do CPD to keep our professional license, but uh, again, that focus is very much on a very narrow range of topics. So uh, I think what we're seeing is accountants who are getting out there and are developing the marketing skills, developing the talent management skills, which we all know these days are absolutely fundamental to any business. If you want to grow it, is to get the right talent in, develop that talent, and retain that talent. And that's
Mhm.
becoming more and more difficult, because particularly not necessarily my generation, but your generation, younger people, there's so many opportunities available these days, and to keep up with the pace of change, businesses
Mhm.
need to be providing uh, the motivation, providing the challenges that people are looking for in their careers, and that means making
Yeah.
sure that there's ongoing development of your talent.
Uh-huh. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Career fulfillment and retaining talent is definitely, and then acquiring talent again as well is definitely, yeah, one of the tricky things I would say with running any business. And then so with the AI stuff, so I'm guessing this is probably the biggest opportunity you're seeing in the market at the moment, right?
Absolutely. I think
Yeah.
what we're going to see is, I mean, it really doesn't matter what the function within the business is, whether it's something as simple as collecting receivables to more complicated inventory management and forecasting. Those are all applications that AI is going to be brilliant at streamlining. And what it's going to mean for businesses, and this is again where accountants need to be up to date, is that increasingly businesses are going to be able to look forward rather than backwards. Again, traditionally, accounting has been a rather backward-looking profession. Accountants have prepared historic accounts, they've prepared historic tax returns. More and more businesses want to know, well, what's going to happen in the future? How do you use that data to extrapolate and plan for the future? And again, AI is just the ideal tool for that, to be able to develop forecasts, do the what if analysis. So, what if my sales dip by 10%? What if my costs rise by 5%? What if my labor costs increase? All of those things. I mean, those things are all achievable now. They can be done through manual processes and using spreadsheets. But what we're going to find from AI is that we not only speed up the process, but we also make it more real time. So whereas historically accountants might have produced accounts on well, some still do it just annually, but let's say a quarterly or even a monthly basis. If you've got cloud accounting applications like Zero, and obviously there are others, we use Zero for all our clients. If you've got applications like that and they're kept up to date which is relatively easy to do these days with bank feeds and receipt capture software. It means that you can interrogate the that software, interrogate your accounting information, interrogate your data on a real-time basis. And so you don't need to wait for your accountant to produce your monthly accounts. You can dip into your accounts yourself. You've worked with your accountant to produce an agent that's using AI to do some real-time analysis and forecasting. I mean, that's huge. Those are tools that, as accountants, I mean, if I'd have had those throughout my career, I'd have been delighted. But they're tools that are available now, and the forward-looking accountants are embracing those today in their business. This isn't about the future. This isn't science fiction any longer. This is about stuff that's available for us today and businesses that are switched onto it and their accountants and advisors who are switched onto it. For them, it's a real competitive advantage.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, and it's crazy the power that you have with AI these days. Like I've actually built quite a few of my own like AI bots to do a bunch of different stuff. For me, like one of them is my like dietitian, so recommending like supplements. One's my like personal trainer and strength coach. So it's crazy the power that we have with AI these days. And then so what does it kind of like look like at like a lower level implementing AI into practices? Like what tasks do you see AI replacing specifically?
Okay, well, there's a couple of levels there. I mentioned receivables
Mhm.
management.
Yeah,
Again, historically, we'd print off or we'd look at a list of receivables at maybe month end. We'd look at those that were overdue, and we'd either get on the telephone or send an email to a particular client chasing that debt. With an agentic AI bot, you're going to be able to program that. So it's interrogating zero, for example, on a real-time basis, looking at due dates. And so as soon as an invoice becomes overdue, it can send a notification to your email system that then automatically sends an email to the client chasing that debt. And you haven't had to intervene to do anything. And so at a very simple level,
mhm.
improving cash flow through receivables management is an obvious agent task. One of the others that I've been working with, a little bit more advanced with a couple of my clients recently, is developing their virtual board of directors. A lot of small businesses can't afford to have the experience of business gurus, can't afford to have them on their board on a full-time basis. But with AI, you can create a virtual board of directors. And so look at your skills, look at where your not necessarily your weaknesses are, but look at where you could do for some help with some help. So, for example, if you need some help with, say, lead generation, you might be looking to have a marketing non-exec. So, create a board of non-executive directors. Ask AI what the skills of a non-executive director might be. Then ask it to give you some examples of actual marketing gurus that you might be able to, and have those become your virtual uh, director. So then, if in your monthly board meeting or your monthly meeting with your accountant or business advisor, call in a couple of experts. Call in a Dan Kennedy or a Steve Jobs or whatever it might be to
Yeah.
and ask them questions.
Mhm.
Feed them the data that you're feeding or your accountant is feeding to you, and
Yeah.
ask them what they would do. Tell it the problems you're facing, or tell them the problems you're facing. So, uh,
Mhm.
once upon a time, to be able to get that level of expertise and input to your business was expensive. These days, with a $20 a month AI connection, you've got experts throughout the world available at your
Mhm.
fingertips. I mean, it's just extraordinary.
Mhm. Yeah. So you're kind of talking in terms of like you give an identity as in part of the prompt. So something like, as Steve Jobs advised me what I should do with XYZ. Is that kind of what you're talking about there?
that's at a fairly simple level. What I'm talking about is what I've done with a couple of clients is we've created custom GPTs
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
where
Hmm.
that GPT, we tell that we actually create a board, and we might create three or four personas on that board.
Okay.
Yes, we give them identities, and we tell them to act like Steve Jobs, act like Richard
Mm,
Branson,
hmm.
act like whoever it might be you want on your board, and then but then feed it the board data. So you're not just asking it a question, you're
Yeah,
actually loading the same management information that you're getting. So your monthly management report,
yeah.
your KPI dashboard that your accountant's giving you, you feed that into the custom GPT,
Hmm.
and ask it to analyze that data. So as a marketing expert, analyze my data and tell me where I should be focusing my attention.
Yeah, yeah, gotcha. Yeah, I've done exactly that as well. And then the cool thing is, yeah, you can make the instructions pretty specific, and then you just do that one time, and then every time if you want, I guess at the end of each month or whatever, you can just go and it already knows, okay, I want you to have this identity, answer it in this type of way. So yeah, it's pretty powerful. Like, you're building like your own GPTs.
Exactly. I mean, it just means that for small businesses, the the range of expertise that they can access has just gone up massively.
Mm,
Uh, and as I say, that's for many that's a game changer, because I don't know what it's like in where you are, but one of the problems in the UK where I am that we face is that the level of financial literacy amongst small business owners is quite low. There isn't a culture here uh, of business training and financial training. People go into to business coming back
mm,
from whatever their specialism is. What AI gives or provides the opportunity for is for business owners to massively upskill and improve their understanding of the numbers. That
mhm.
means that through proper data management, which is obviously where we come in as accountants, making sure that they can access the right data on a regular basis. It means that we can massively upskill our clients and help them understand their numbers and then understand how to interpret those to improve their businesses.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's crazy the potential that you have with AI. And then, so on a different note, obviously that's a really big opportunity. What would you say is like the biggest challenge that you see accounting firms like facing at the moment?
Okay, well, there's a couple. The first is one that I've touched on. It's about ongoing, uh, continuous learning,
Mhm.
and continuous development. Again, uh, certainly those of us who are a bit longer in the tooth in the profession have been used to, updating our skills on a regular basis, but not necessarily as regularly as we have to now, and also updating our skills in areas, as I mentioned before, marketing, HI, operations, technology. I mean, just building your tech stack these days as an accounting firm is something that 10 years ago, certainly 20 years ago, you didn't have to do. When I started my practice, you probably had a piece of accounting software and maybe a bit of tax software. I mean, these days you've got a whole tech stack, and you need to keep that tech stack up to date and
Yeah.
working. And more, it's about integrating the different technologies so that it all works seamlessly. So I think that's the first area. The second area is that as AI and 5 years, 10 years from now, who knows when, quantum computing is going to be, again, doing more than just the heavy lifting. It's going to be doing, accounts are going to be filed with the regulators, tax returns are going to be filed with the revenue service without any almost interaction on behalf of anybody. So what that's going to mean is that the accountant, unless they become the trusted advisor, and unless they are able to really understand the objectives of their clients, both personal and business, and are able to put those into practical strategies, then they're going to find that life is becoming tough, because that's what business is going to be asking for their accountants. No longer a business is going to be asking their accountants to file tax returns, to produce accounts. They're going to
Yeah.
be asking for the knowledge to be able to interpret those, and how that will then help deliver their business and their business improvement. So
Mhm.
quite big challenges, being honest, and ones that I think a lot of accountants will be up for. Some will find more difficult.
Yeah. Okay. And then for your practice specifically, what would you say has been like the biggest challenge for you in making this shift towards, I guess, like this AI and becoming more the advisor rather than just the accountant?
I've been very fortunate through my career. I've started two accountancy practices from scratch. I had a spell as a corporate finance partner at Deloitte.
Hmm.
For a number of years, I was a member of an organization that's based where you are, the Mind Shop organization, that helped me develop my skills in business improvement and strategic planning. And so the biggest challenge I faced, and I recognize this, I was fortunate, I recognized this quite early in my career, is that I needed to invest in my own personal development. I always tell clients that, in my opinion, I don't think their business will develop further than they develop themselves as individuals. And
Yeah.
so keeping up to date, and what I've talked about, lifelong learning, reading plenty of books, uh, is the way forward. And I've been fortunate to be able to uh, be involved in that for a number of years, and translate that knowledge and those skills into, I hope, useful advice to my clients.
100%. Yeah. I'm yeah, totally for that as well. Like investing in yourself, like your skills is a reflection of how well the business does. And I've found every single time that I invested into another mentor and into another mentor, the business would just grow exponentially because yeah, you're doing that. It's that you're leveraging someone else's success and mistakes. It's just like reading a book as well. It's like you're learning someone's lifetime lessons in like just in a book. So yeah, big
Yeah, and
big
you
advocate.
absolutely, and you made a very good point there about mentors. I again, I'm lucky enough to have amongst my client base a number of younger accountants who've
Mhm,
started their own practice, who I mentor,
mhm,
and it's extraordinary the difference I hope that we make to them, but also they challenge me. These days,
mhm,
starting a practice, it's going to be a digital practice. A lot of the times, it's a virtual practice, and again, those are there's quite different skills needed to run those types of businesses than
mhm,
maybe, again, 20, 30, 40 years ago, where you'd rent an office and you'd hire some staff who'd come into that
mm,
office every day.
yeah.
And even that business model is changing these days. No longer do people all need to be sat in the same office. They can be remote. You can hire specialists who can add value to your clients, but those specialists, maybe you just buy in their time. I have several people that I outsource to and just buy in their time to help my
Mm,
clients when we need them. And so
oh yeah.
business model, the accountancy, the traditional accountancy practice business model is changing too.
Mm,
Again, I think for the better, because it's more streamlined. That means it's more flexible, and that means that it should be able to pass on those efficiency costs to clients,
mm.
so that our services are still affordable.
Yeah, definitely. And then what would you say for Guilford accounting in particular? What is kind of like the next 6 to 12 months look like for you guys? And like what are like the key things that you're working on to implement
The main
for all of
thing,
this?
yeah, the main thing we're doing is we're looking now on a client by client basis as to what their next step development is. There's no point us advancing in things that aren't going to benefit our clients. So we're looking on a client by client basis as to where their challenges are going to be, where their pain points are, what they're looking to achieve, both personally and from a business point of view, and then looking at how we can help them automate. More and more, it's about, again, we've talked about AI, but it's not just AI, it's the whole technology spectrum. It's looking at ways that we can improve the data quality they get and the data timeliness. So
Hmm.
quality of data and timeliness of data, those are the two things that are going to present themselves as a competitive advantage to most small businesses. And so if you can keep on top of those two things, and obviously as accountants, that's where we come in. If you can keep on top of those two things, then the chances are that your business is going to be a healthy one, and that you're going to be able to invest more in it. And obviously that's what will help the business scale.
Yeah. Okay. And then in terms of like, what would you say is like the most common thing when you're like advising these businesses? What do you see is like the most common thing that they're messing up? And then usually like you come in and this is like the biggest needle moving like advice that you usually you give to them.
I wish I could say there was one thing, Leonard. It varies hugely between businesses. We talked before about talent management,
Yeah.
and I think for businesses that rely on their people, I've got one client
Hmm.
who's probably got a service business who has 30 or 40 freelancers all providing the service delivery. So particular challenge in her business is to have really capable people managing that team. And so that might be quite different from, for example, I've got a client who's a very successful fashion designer, and runs an e-commerce business. And
Hmm.
that's a very lean business. And that's all about outsourcing, uh, and having an efficient supply chain, making sure that the inventory is in the right place when it needs to be, when the customers are ready to place their online orders. So huge difference. I wouldn't say, again, I've got my clients are from a fairly wide range of businesses. And so uh, for me, it's about being able to spend enough time with each business and each business owner to be able to understand their unique problems. Unfortunately, there's no one size fits all,
Right.
provided they've all got the right, as we do, the right cloud accounting
Yeah.
background and the right bookkeeping, so the information is up to date. Then we can pretty much address most challenges. But then it's a question of finding the best solution.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Well, I don't have any other questions. I think we just got to about 30 minutes. Did you have any like final thoughts or anything before we sign off?
Well, just that this is a really challenging time for businesses globally, small businesses in particular. Small businesses have got a huge opportunity right now, and working with their accountants and business advisors, there's never been a time when data has been as easy to access. And I just applaud those businesses and those accountants who are out there recommending and helping their clients uh, to embrace all the technology and all the opportunities that are available.
Oh yeah, yeah, 100%. Yeah, if you're not using AI, you're gonna get left behind. Definitely. Cool. Well, yeah, I appreciate you hopping on. And then if people want to reach out or find you or maybe get some like accounting advice, where can I kind of like what's the best way to reach you?
Okay, well, my website's Guilford Accounting. That's Guilford
Mhm.
accounting.co.uk. We're based in the UK. Or they can email me at Noel at Guilford Accounting.
Mhm.
And I've got a book that I published earlier this year called Practice. That's for younger accountants starting their own practice. That's available on Amazon. And I wrote that as a story of a young woman who set up her own accounting practice. So it's a sort of a a fable as well as a book, a how-to book. So that's available on Amazon
Yeah.
if you search for practice, or probably better search under my name, and you'll find that on Amazon.
Okay, awesome. And yeah, I'll put a link to your website below, and your email on the video as well, and people can just click on that. But yeah, appreciate you coming on, sharing all your knowledge, and then yeah, hope the viewers you got some value from it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Awesome. Right, sweet. And